Happy Hour. Who are you?
I'm Micah.
I'm Karina, and today we are drinking Negronis, the classic Italian aperitivo cocktail. So Micah's going to tell us, yum yum, she's going to tell us all about the Negroni, which we think is that magic balance of simplicity and what? Simplicity and
strength
and yeah, a little bit of bitterness and sweetness.
Sweet and bitter and packs a punch.
Oh, I like that. Perfect. So we are going to see how does the Negroni relate to creativity?
Yes.
Because this is Creative Happy Hour.
This is Creative Happy Hour.
So get happy, guys. We're going to get drunk on the creative possibilities. Okay, take it away, Micah. Cheers. So what is the history?
I'm going to start with a brief history. The drink was invented in Cafe Cassoni in Florence, Italy in 1919.
Anything that is invented in Italy is all right by me.
It's pretty much
right?
art.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
It's a painting. If it came from Italy, it's pretty much a painting.
Right? Perfect. So was it invented, tell me, by a guy named...
Count Camillo Negroni.
I knew it. See,
so basically, he's at his favorite bar, drinking the Americano. And he needs his drink a little bit stronger.
He needs to make it more European. Forget Americano.
Of course. So the Americano was vermouth, Campari, and soda water.
Oh,
so
who wants
he
water
said, please, bartender,
I
need a little stronger drink here. So he had the bartender replace his soda with gin. And so therefore the Negroni was created. And
love that.
So the ingredients of the Negroni are gin, Campari, and sweet vermouth.
Nice. So
with a twist of orange.
Oh, the twist of orange. Okay, because I was going to say
orange. It's critical.
3 ingredients. That's so simple.
It's simple.
And it tastes so interesting and complex.
Yes.
So I kind of love that.
Yes.
So maybe our first hint about how this is going to relate to our creative thing is you don't need to make it that complicated.
No.
To have something that is really impressive and sophisticated. So I
and
love
beautiful
that.
And delicious.
That is
and appealing to a lot of people.
Yes, I mean that's the thing. Like the Negroni's been around. So you said what year again? It
1919.
1919. Oh, literally 100 years.
Ooh,
cheers, girl! Cheers to
picked the right drink.
Oh, we picked the right drink.
Serendipitous.
So, yes. Okay. So 100-year-old drink, and it is still relevant and rocking along. Okay, so what else can you tell us about the Negroni?
So the Negroni, I'll give you a little bit of information about the sweet vermouth and Campari. So Campari was invented by Gaspar Campari, and he was born in 1828 in Italy, modern day Italy. He worked in bars, so he had experience making drinks, and he was the one that invented the Americano. So he was experimenting with these bitter aperitifs, using herbs and spices and other ingredients, mixing stuff together. He was a little, what do you call it? An alchemist.
He was an alchemist. He was a magician.
He was a magician.
Artiste.
He was an artiste.
He was a composer.
He was a creative guy.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I agree. I mean, when you taste this, it's just so interesting, and I'm guessing that depending on the brand of whichever ingredients you're putting in, right? Because we're having Hendrick's gin. Is that what you put in there?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell everyone what are the 3? Let's talk brand names. So we did Hendrick's gin.
Yes. We did the Rosso sweet vermouth.
Ooh, nice.
And
which you drink on ice, don't you?
I drink it on ice because my neighbor, her grandmother she's Brazilian, her grandmother was Italian, and they drank it. She even said they would give it to them as kids. If they had an upset stomach. I was so much more civilized in other countries.
Just like the rosé last week, we're like, oh, this is a kid's drink. I love that. Okay, cool. And then our last ingredient.
So the Campari, it for a very long time got its red color from the carmine in crushed scales of cochineal insects.
Yes.
Which they stopped doing in 2006.
But you know that they actually put that in makeup, and they actually use that for pigment in paint.
Oh,
so again, another little artistic link with I can never remember how you pronounce it, but I'll put it up on the screen.
I don't know.
So you guys can see cochineal, something like that.
Insects, yeah. So it's their crushed scales, and still the Campari recipe is still a secret. So very few people know it.
Aren't they sneaky?
So And then vermouth is aromatized fortified white wine with various botanicals and sometimes colors, mid-century.
It sounds kind of gross, but it tastes good.
It's delicious. Yeah. And it was, so vermouth is the French pronunciation, the word vermouth is the French pronunciation of the German word Wermut, or which means wormwood,
That
which
is so
I don't
funny.
even know what that is. That's a whole nother podcast.
I'm guessing it's a wood with lots of wormholes in it.
Right.
It sounds kind of disgusting, but probably awesome. I'm guessing because it made this delicious drink.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
it's.
super into that.
Love wormwood. Let's be clear.
Vermouth. Vermouth. I love it. The other thing I love about the idea of Campari is that it's an aperitivo, right? So that there's this expectation that you're drinking this delicious thing. You're getting slightly drunk, but you're getting ready to have even more deliciousness afterwards. This is just the beginning. So I kind of love that concept.
It really goes with creative happy hour because happy hour is also that time of day where you're getting ready to have more
like
moments,
more moments. We're so
of,
freaking thematic.
I
love it.
It's absolutely metaphoric.
Right? So
Everything
another thing, so when we were talking, you were telling me about the history of this amazing Negroni. And the Count Negroni, remember we had seen something about him, how he had gone to the States. Like he was such an entrepreneur, right? So the minute he makes this delicious drink, he's like, boom, I'm gonna just like activate, superpowers activate. And he literally opened a distillery.
A family distillery.
Which, wow.
He took this concoction that he created and he turned it into a consistent commodifiable beverage that he could sell to people. And then he went gallivanting. He went to the US and became a cowboy for a while.
Which I love. Like apparently, so historians say that they came back to Italy and he's still successful, still hanging around, but he's in full cowboy gear. And I love the fact that this guy kind of went around in costume.
He just tried on different personalities.
I love that. I mean, so he's such a great example for us today too, because that's something that we can all do, right?
Living a creative life. You just, I'm a cowboy now.
I'm a cowboy now. And also just kind of like acting on these great ideas that you have. Like, I just think that's amazing. Okay, so what can we say about the taste of this? Like, how do these three ingredients come together? Like, and I'm loving the clinking. Oh, and can I just point out that we put the orange peel that we put is Cara orange peel, which is ultra trendy because I'm a little pop culture biatch.
You are.
And Cara is like everywhere on Insta right now. So I was like, I need Cara. So I don't know if that's very
you did a good job.
Americano or Italiano, but and I peeled them really carefully. You can't tell.
They're beautiful and delicious.
They're in their glass. Oh, well, cheers again.
Cheers.
Okay, so let's
vermouth. And who's the other one?
Gin.
Yeah. So speaking of gin.
Yes. Ooh, yes.
Should we talk about the gin? So I was reading an article.
Oh, do you want to talk about that now, or should we talk about? Well, I think that's a great idea, actually.
I don't know,
but because first I wanted to talk about the flavors in here, and then we'll talk about the gin itself because you have great points to make about the gin. I'm almost thinking because I'm being very negative about. For our glass half empty, glass half full. I was going to talk about 2014, which was like peak year for Negroni, as well as we talked about last week, peak year for Rosé. And so I was going to talk about why that happened, and I was going to be very negative about it. So why don't we save your awesome stuff about the distilling as an art so that we can have some hope left in this world?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
We'll do that as a glass half full. So let's talk about these flavors too, about why is this such a classy,
why it's so compelling?
Yeah, why? What do you think? I mean,
100 years.
Yeah, 100 years. So what's done this? Like, is it the balance? Is it the fact that it's kind of like, yeah, well,
yeah, I think it meets a lot of criteria. It's got a sweetness, but it's not only about sweet.
Yes, it's got that bitter, which we need. Like I'm bitter, and I think I need that.
Levels us out a little bit.
Yeah, and it's got a little bit of sour. It's got, and I think that there's this thing that the bitters were meant to be kind of good for you. Is that correct? Right? I think there was this idea that they had
it does have a little
extracts and herbs, right? So it's almost medicinal.
Medicinal. I feel like it has. It's almost like when you drink it, not only does it relax you, but somehow it feels almost like it's good for you.
Exactly. And I think that's what those botanicals were first for, right? They were completely medicinal. So I'm thinking the mix of the gin, which is, I don't think we can come up with the fact that it'd be good for us in any way, shape, or form. I mean, other than soothing our soul. But I think that, these botanicals could be vitamins. So we're doing something wonderful for ourselves. I love it. I'm thinking, and then I think the color has a huge part of the appeal, because when you look at this, it's kind of like semi-opaque, right? And you've got the ice cubes in it, but you see that orange peel is very jewel-like.
It is very jewel-like. I like that description a lot.
I'm
it's like a
it.
jewel.
And it's musical.
It just feels like this very magical potion. It's like a magic potion.
It is like a magic potion. I think it's a magic potion it's going to make us more creative in the
long
run.
It is. And I also think that there's something really interesting about the fact that it did come from Italy. It has a history, and you're not just having a drink that is, something that it's tied to something, almost like, it's
There's
like
a mystique.
Yeah, it's like your grandmother, your ancestors. It's got some kind of, and I think we talked about this in another
it's primal
podcast.
In a way. That balance makes it primal. It's kind of a universal.
You're part of something. You're part of a lineage or a legacy when you're drinking it, and part of the history, the living history of this drink.
I think you're so right. And another thing that I think really, really helps is that we've made it twice now, like full disclosure. And it's been delicious both times. So I think it's hard to mess up. I think that there's something to that is hard to mess this thing up.
I like that too.
And I think that so many, like, how there's like a gateway craft or a gateway art, like things that are hard to mess up and that gives you that sense of success. And I think if you're kind of like a novice mixologist or a home bar person, or people like us who are like, okay, let's try this out. Like, I think there's something huge to the fact that, we can't mess this up no matter what we do. I mean, I don't think it's possible to.
It's equal parts.
Yeah. So tell us the exact recipe. So
it's 20. It's essentially 20 milliliters of gin, 20 milliliters of Campari, and 20 milliliters of sweet vermouth. It's like, it's starting to kick in, folks.
I know. You're like, every time I'm going to forget one ingredient, a different one every time. So yeah, one third. And you can play around with different, permutations of this. I mean, try out the Americano. Let us know in the comments below when you sign up for our channel. Let us know if you prefer the Americano, or if it used to be lemon peel instead of the orange peel. So let us know, do you guys like lemon peel better? I can't imagine this with lemon. Can you?
That was when the Negroni was, he threw an orange in at that point, because it is typically a lemon in a cocktail.
Yes.
And that was the other thing. It was novel. It was this new, exciting thing that, wasn't your typical cocktail,
right? And vitamin C.
I mean, you're not gonna get scurvy over here.
No, exactly. It's like cold season. It's dark out. We're thrilled. But so that's so interesting how they did that. But then I kind of feel like then you saw, and I'm gonna talk again about 2014, where it was like peak Negroni. They started substituting things, using more artisanal blends, using different types of gin, using kind of home brewed stuff, different vermouths, which now there are like a million
so
of them
many
out
delicious
there, right?
craft
Exactly.
vermouths.
So what do you think? I mean, do you think that is a good thing? Do you think that's not what do you think that's going to mean for the longevity of the Negroni? Or do you think there's going to be a return to the classic version? Or do you think there's a place for both of those?
I am always a believer that both things can exist at the same time. I really do.
That's your quantum physics
background. I think you can have both things happening at the same time. It's quantum entanglement.
Exactly. I like to think that too. I mean, I think that that's kind of promising, that there's a place for either thing, right? So, and I think in creativity or in whatever you're gonna do, there's always a place for the classics, and there's always a place for riffs on that, right? And I think that that's a fun game to play with yourself. Like, how can I substitute one thing and get something completely different, right? And I think that that's something that, you know, if I'm writing and I'm feeling kind of stuck in what I'm doing, I'm like, ooh, let's take one element and let's switch that out, or let's change it. Let's give it another flavor, and it's going to lead to something completely different.
I agree completely. I do the same thing with knitting. I mean,
Right.
I can use all kinds of different fibers, but sometimes I just do a completely different stitch pattern.
Right.
You know, I'll do
yeah.
like a seed stitch, or I'll do, you know, and it changes the texture.
Yes.
And the texture of that will change the way the color presents
Completely.
itself.
And then I'm seeing in this thing, you got some
I'll blend sparkly.
sparkle. It's the sparkle. You've thrown in
I'll
a
throw in
sparkle.
some shimmer.
And I think that that completely changes the feel. So,
It does. It creates different, it makes it more dynamic.
Dynamic. Yes.
I like
My taste buds are like, ooh, that's dynamic.
That's what happens when you drink a Negroni.
Exactly. You're like,
Happy
I'm feeling
creative happy
dynamic.
hour.
So let's go back to that idea that we've got the balance, we've got the simplicity, but we've got a sophistication. And I think that when we drink Negronis, like, we feel smarter by the minute. But I think that it
Always.
is a drink that if you're drinking a Negroni at the bar, if you order a Negroni, I mean, I think that there's that like idea of sophistication. You're it's not a Cosmo, which we'll be talking about.
We're going to get into that.
Next week. I can't wait. Don't worry, we'll have another drink for you too next week. But I think that that really does, the popularity is explained by the fact that you have this positive image. So what can we think, like, in terms of like creative pursuits, are we thinking of any particular creative pursuits that give you that idea of class and longevity and things like that? I mean, I guess like classic instruments maybe, or classical forms of, artistic expression. But then how can we take that towards even like making a creative life for yourself?
Well, think about, even this is more historical, but think about Beatles music. I mean, there was a period of time when the Beatles were doing,
they were such iconoclasts
they were
that people
going
were
to
horrified.
India, and they were doing,
Yes.
they were bringing in sitars, and
Yes, which is a classic thing, but which was
it's
novel.
classic in another culture,
Right.
and so they're mixing it with rock and roll.
Yes.
Their music is, you hear that music now and it's still relevant,
It
like
is.
the
You're
Negroni.
so right. You're so right.
I can throw on the White Album or Abbey Road and it's still really, really good.
Exactly.
Always.
And then and literally you have some like thrash metal, death metal groups that they have such rabid fans, and when you actually, even if it's not your thing, you stop to listen to it and you realize that the riffs that they have their base is in absolute classical music,
For
so
sure.
it has the
For sure.
sophistication. So even though kind of they're going to keep it simple with the chorus or with, the way their chords progress or whatever, but they also have the sophistication and the knowledge of the history that's behind it. And I find that really fascinating. So that's something that you can enjoy for a really long time as well. So that's very cool. And then, okay, in terms of the color, is this anything that we can think of creatively? Like if you inflect a classy color into things that you do, like I'm thinking this color to me is so synonymous with Negroni. Like you look at this color.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And you're
For
like,
sure.
this is Negroni. So another creative thing that I'm thinking is that a lot of people right now who are gaining traction in things that they do, they're becoming known for a color. And even like Yves Klein back in the day when he invented Klein Blue, right? Like that color was his thing. Or like Andy Warhol with his really saturated, kind of primary or almost, quasi-fluorescence, I would say. Like that Mondrian with his, very specific use of color. I think that if you're branding yourself or making yourself known as an artist, the color thing can really enter into it.
I think so too. I love color, and
Yeah.
I think that it's
As we both wear black. I mean, you've got your...
Well, I wear my fiber frequency.
Yeah, thank
so
goodness.
There's
Thank
always
and
some.
you've got, look,
There's-
it's pretty good.
Well,
It's
there's
good
a
match.
Negroni orange.
There
in
is. There, look at that.
There's
Oh.
Negroni orange. I mean,
Yes.
I'm not kidding around here, folks.
No. You're very serious with what you do. I think I'm very impressed. So here's to the Negroni. I'm really impressed with the potency and the taste and the flavor. It's
In
a
the
win.
longevity.
It's a win for me.
It's
for
a
sure.
win.
It is.
I love this drink.
It's awesome. Okay, so guys, next we're going to be talking about glass half empty, glass half full.
which I'm getting closer to half empty all the time.
Our drinks are clinking. This is so awesome. So now our drinks are about half empty or half full, depending on what you think.
Mine's still pretty half full.
That's good because you're the positive girl as usual. Shit, I'm so negative. Okay, we are gonna do glass half empty, glass half full. We're gonna start with half full, and appropriately, you're gonna be talking about art forms and kind of commodifying art in a way, I guess, and also the distiller as
the artist
and creative.
Yes. So I while we were making this drink and I was buying gin, which I had already decided that I didn't like gin. I was like, I don't drink gin. Gin's disgusting.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
It's got juniper in it.
Right.
I don't drink pine trees. You know,
and
I don't
like,
drink pine salt.
Okay. And I don't either. And I was like, but we have to do it in the name of research.
We do. And so, and surprisingly, I thought this drink was delicious, and I surprisingly liked gin. And so I started to read articles on gin, and you know, and I think everyone can agree that right now we're really in this time where everyone's doing craft beer, craft gin, craft handcrafted, artisanal,
craft.
I mean, I'm wondering what's going to happen to craft macaroni and cheese. To be quite honest with you, yeah, we need to get them a call.
So upset.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah. They're getting completely diluted in this whole thing. But anyway.
But what I love is how you drinking this drink and starting to like kind of led you down this like rabbit hole or wormwood hole of all of these articles that got you thinking about the creativity. And I love that. So
it really did. Yeah. And I think that's a perfect example of, you know, every day is an opportunity to go out there and say, you know what, I'm going to try this, or I'm going to eat this, or I'm going to drink this, or I'm going to try this class, or I'm going to take this, you know, and
it's never too late
to see what you're made of and what appeals to you. So this is what happened. And so I became a little bit intrigued by gin and the history of gin and gin making. And so I read an article on the website ginfoundry.com, and so they had an article about, you know, asking the question, are distillers, you know, gin distillers, this is the Gin Foundry, are distillers considered artists? You know, can they be in the same league with writers, musicians, painters? You know, can they be, you know, considered the same thing?
I think you and I both agree that that's definitely a thing, because our whole platform here is taking creativity, the concept of creativity, and making it broader, and not making you think that, oh, if I don't paint or, you know, make music or whatever, I'm not an artist. Like, there's so many ways to be a creative and be an artist that, I mean, even just any realm, you can take it from the basic to the creative and artistic, I think. But yeah.
Well, and this drink is a perfect example. It was the Americano. They added a different flavor, and now it's the Negroni. And I'm not going to say that it's better, because that's a personal opinion.
And we might still need to do the Americano.
But it exists. It's been created. It's been born.
It's been born. Yeah.
And so, you know, someone had the idea, oh, I'm going to add this to it, and they created it. And so I think, you know, that's essentially what we're talking about, is bringing that into your everyday life, living creatively every day, and bringing that into everything you do. I think it's important. So I read this article, you know, are distillers artists? And the article has criteria for why they think
I like that.
Being a distiller makes you somehow an artist. And they kind of argue with themselves back and forth. And
that's the best kind of article.
If I did anything wrong, Gin Foundry, you can certainly find me.
Sue us, or send us some wine.
Or send us some gin.
Or
come on our show.
We're inviting you. This is an official invitation. Bring the gin, and we can talk about anything you like.
Anything you want to talk about. So, no, I found this article quite beautiful. And so there were some things, you know, they refer to this guy, Carlo Carra's Futuristic Manifesto of 1913, where he talks about,
right up your alley.
You know, synesthesia and the interplay of multiple sensory inputs.
We love synesthesia, by the way. We should probably, you know what, we should probably do a whole entire show about synesthesia, and we should call somebody in who actually, I mean, I think both of us kind of experience that to a degree, and I think if you actually let yourself, you know, be open to the whole thing, I think a lot of us do experience that to a degree.
I think so,
but wouldn't it be incredible to have somebody on who's like a total
expert on synesthesia? I mean, we're calling all synesthesia experts.
Yes. Sign up, make a comment, and write us. Bring gin, or any other liquor.
Anything else you
liquor
want to
of
bring.
your
It is a
choice.
happy hour.
It is a happy hour, and we'll get happy with you. Yes.
So anyway, they kind of refer to this article, and it's kind of, they kind of start there, and then they talk about how they design gins that embody a moment in time.
Ooh, I love that.
Which art does that.
Art does that so much, and music
you
does that.
transcend.
Yes.
Writing does that.
Yes.
You can
If it's
read
done
something
right.
and you can be in, Russia.
You can be transported, and not only can you be transported, but sometimes you can feel what the creator of that piece was feeling or where they were. And I think that, you were mentioning this, that I didn't make this up, that, the viewer or the consumer of the thing we're talking about, the music or the
that's a Duchamp quote that where he talks about.
You got a quote, so let's go. So
so that is one of the criteria is does it embody a moment in time? What you're creating.
Goddamn loop.
I love it. Is it evocative of a specific environment?
Yes.
So when you drink Negroni, you get transported 100 years
to
back
Italia.
to Italia. And
or to our sofa
or to the sofa.
It's to the last time we had a good time,
a couple days ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So is it evocative, of a specific environment? Do you feel like, it was kind of like we were talking about, you go to the winery. You can go buy wine at the grocery store. You don't need to go to the winery. But it is a thing.
It adds a layer. It does.
It is, you go, you meet the winemaker, you see the climate that the grapes are grown. You feel
the terroir,
an emotional,
terroir,
evocative, emotional connection to the wine, to the grapes.
And I'm a total interior design snob, so I love going in if they have a really nice tasting room. That adds a layer to it for me. And
it's an experience.
I'm willing to bet that Negroni's factory and the bar that this was created in, I'm willing to bet it was super charming.
I think so too. I think so too. So that is the thing that I also think about people now. You can pretty much buy anything online. You can, you don't really need to go anywhere to get what you want.
But that's very sad to me.
However, people are going out to have an experience.
Yes. Retail's dead, but experiential stuff, not
creative
so much.
experience is absolutely on the rise.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I agree with you. And also, I think that if you are in the least bit creative, I think that every time you go to participate in one of these experiences, I think that you add so much of yourself into it, and it becomes that much better, both for yourself and for the other people involved.
Absolutely.
And I kind of love it. For example, if you go to an art show and the artist is there, and you're really just appreciating the fact that their art is on the walls of this specific space, and they're speaking to you, and you're having exchange, that whole exchange thing is incredible. Or if you're talking to a bartender who made a wonderful drink and they're telling you about it, that adds a whole layer for me.
It creates meaning, conceptual meaning, and that's the other one. Is it imbued with conceptual meaning and flavor? Is it something that is stimulating to you? It stimulates your senses. What is the word I couldn't say? Ephemeral. Ephemeral.
Yeah.
So
ephemeral.
art is one of those things that music, food, all the things that creatively touch you. It has a feeling to it. It
does, and it's a fleeting feeling, right?
It is. You can't necessarily name it often,
and you can't pinpoint it necessarily. And I think that what people do when people go and keep looking at pieces of art or keep tasting things, I think they're chasing the experience of that feeling. They're trying to recreate it, but they're kind of secretly thrilled when they're never quite able to. And I think that that's really fun. So I think that the Negroni has that kind of predictability, but always that little tiny difference where you're chasing that ephemeral something that maybe you had last time.
Yeah, it's touching the mystery. We all like the fact that it's not all figured out. Whether I don't know, some people don't like that. I think most people,
we're torn. We like predictability, but we do like to be surprised.
We do like the mystery, and that's the artistic, I think, feeling.
Surprise us, shock us. Well, speaking of shocking, so you're quoting Marcel Duchamp.
So yeah, Marcel Duchamp. So they bring him up, and he was one of these artists that changed the way we define art.
He was the original shock jock.
Yeah,
art.
so he was the shock jock, and he essentially, he did an exhibit called The Fountain. You could say it in French.
La Fontaine.
La Fontaine.
Yes.
And it was a toilet, okay?
It was a urinal.
It was a urinal.
It
was a urinal.
Wasn't it a urinal from like his favorite bar? I think it was.
Possibly. I wasn't that interested in
I'm surprised. Okay, well, because I'm fascinated. I think it was actually from his favorite bar. I might be wrong, and if I'm wrong, don't tell me, because that's gonna like ruin the whole mystique in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. No.
But it is kind of interesting that he was like, I'm gonna take my urinal from my favorite bar, and so he exhibited at this New York exhibit in 1917.
So almost
That's a long time ago.
Right before Negroni was invented.
2 years before Negroni was invented.
I love that he called it the Fountain, because I think he was kind of opening up this tap of discussion and concepts.
Literally opening up the tap.
Exactly. Right? The fountain.
Well,
and
what he says is that, the fountain is the urine going into the urinal, right?
Right.
And so it is, directly related to his quote, the creative act is not performed by the artist alone.
See?
The spectator brings the work in contact with the external world by deciphering and interpreting its inner qualifications, and thus adds its contribution to the creative act. So, he's talking about art doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is...
Alcohol doesn't exist in a vacuum.
No. I don't even get the vacuum out when I start drinking. It's just not even, all of those chores go to the wayside.
If we don't drink it, the work of the distiller is just all for naught.
It's a mute point.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Just, he doesn't even have a job. This guy's completely out in the cold.
It's terrible. Yes.
So, we're helping.
We're helping
in ways that we can.
Art and industry. We're helping. Yes.
So no, and I love the fact that, Duchamp he pretty much said, you can't, we're talking about art that was, the painting of the beautiful woman, or the still life, or the very, clearly defined as a thing.
Well, yeah, but he was coming off of a time, I think, when there were a bunch of salons that were trying to go kind of counterculture to that pretty art movement. And the salons, even though we look at some of the impressionist art or some of the other art that was exhibited in the salons around that time, late 1800s, early 1900s. And for us, we're like, oh, that's pretty. But at the time, it was so incredibly shocking. And it's funny because in my glass, half empty, I'm going to be talking about what happened in 2014. There was one of these pieces of art that was painted in a very classical way. It's called The Origin of the World. You've seen that, right?
Okay. I don't think I've seen it.
Okay. It's a full-on crotch shot, basically. Painted in beautifully rendered in oil paint. It's just a woman's...
It's the vag.
It's a vag shot. And it was so incredibly shocking that today it hangs in a museum, and just the academic, qualities of it, and the composition, and the subject matter, it just, all of it combines. But it was so incredibly shocking back then. It's still kind of shocking, but I think probably not shocking enough. So somebody actually recreated that live in Paris, or actually in Paris or London. And I'm being...
What do you mean live?
A female artist basically wore a gold lame outfit that was crotchless, and then kind of exposed herself. It was a kind of a tribute.
It was a living,
I'm guessing
painting.
Yes. So I'm thinking it must have been the anniversary of it, and I'm obviously not a good enough researcher to have cared to do that. But, that's kind of incredible how, Duchamp now, his work is in the museum. He's very much part of the canon. But at the time, people are like, this jerk tore a urinal out of the bar. What's he doing? But I think his justification was really interesting.
He was saying that, I think what he was saying is true, is that the way that a person responds to the creative act is just as important as the creative act. The interpretation of the creative act,
I totally agree,
is just as essential. You know,
and I think that's why as creatives, like I think, you know, building communities that are going to respond to what we're doing is actually almost as integral to our creative pursuit as actually just creating it. So if we're creating in a vacuum, and if you're doing, you know, anything you do, if you don't build that community or find that community that's going to react to it, that doesn't mean it's not good and valid, but I think you're going to get that frustration of, I'm not getting the full picture here. You know, I'm not getting the full experience.
Yeah, I'm not feeling what you're trying to do here. I mean, I think that's the emotional part of our culture. The art is you know, there's all kinds of things, the academic, the science, the religious, is the thinking structure of our world.
Exactly.
But art is really where you get the heart of the matter.
Very much so, because it's such an immediate experience. You know, like when you taste something, it's not words that come to you. It's just that experience. It's like that feeling, jolt of like, ooh, you know, I'm feeling, you know, warm. I'm feeling the sour. I'm feeling trashed. This is a very strong drink.
I know.
Good job, mixologist.
Really, I mean, it
gets better and better.
It's very philosophical at a certain point.
It really does. So now we are going to go to, because we're going to start getting depressed in our drunkenness, to glass half empty. So glass half empty. We were lingering on, you know, the other side because the dark side
is dreamy.
It was dreamy. It was lovely. I loved what we were talking about. But now we have to talk about what was going on in 2014, because this is something that's been I've been kind of reflecting on what's happening in our culture for a long time. So I said 2014 peak Negroni. That's when they, you know, it was at the apex. Everybody's ordering it and they're starting to make new versions. They're starting to play with it. It's getting more traction.
Reached a high note.
It reached a high note.
In modern culture.
Right. And what does that mean? It means, does it mean that? Does it mean that it peaked? That's what I want. And so like, just like 2014 was kind of peak rosé where they had that, you know, shortage in the Hamptons. So I was like, I saw 2014 and I was like, ding, 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 what's going on in 2014? And I found something really, really interesting and really scary. So 2014 was kind of the year that everything went viral.
What do you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, literally and figuratively. So first of all, literal illnesses, Ebola, Ebola, whatever.
Oh
I can't.
God.
Yeah,
Could you imagine?
I don't even want to say it. But things like diseases, you know, so are going viral like never before. Why? Because we're having extremes like never before. So 2014 was the year that we had both a drought in California and a polar vortex. Now, sadly enough, that's happened again. But, you know, then that was like, what's going on? And so things were, you know, that sort of thing was spreading faster. You had ISIS that actually came on the scene. And the concept, I mean, do you remember, we weren't talking about ISIS. We used to talk about Al-Qaeda, right?
And the
Taliban. But all of a sudden, ISIS, like, do you remember? Like, it just comes on the scene. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I don't even, you know.
Yeah, I just thought she was like a princess in
right?
ancient
You're like, oh,
Egypt.
it's a goddess. Poor ISIS. I know. Poor ISIS got a bad rap after that.
She got screwed.
Right? ISIS is actually
History screwed her over.
It did.
And she was kind of a badass in
She
Egypt.
was a badass. She was, and we can talk about her one day. Like, I love that. The whole feminine mystique that ISIS represented. And that also, I was thinking like,
that bothered me.
Shit, yeah. Like, ISIS, did you have to choose that name? Like, I thought that was a little misogynistic, people. I thought,
little?
you know, like very. Like, that's
glass is getting very empty.
The glass is going lick, 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 lick. Yeah, like really bad.
So what else went viral?
Well, okay, so marijuana was legalized in Colorado, which I think kind of made things go a little bit more creative. But then you had the whole thing of the web going viral. Like 2014, for some reason, seemed to be the year that all of a sudden everybody's on Facebook.
Everybody has access.
Everybody has access. Facebook buys WhatsApp, which is a communication platform. So like all of a sudden we're communicating faster than ever. Apple buys Beats headphones. So like all of a sudden like we're commodifying like the experience of listening to music, which I found kind of interesting. But so all of these social media things too are kind of blowing up and becoming famous all at once. So Kim and Kanye get married, they break the internet. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh yeah, this one I love. I love the Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah,
this
she's
is quite interesting to me.
Consciously uncouples. And all of a sudden, everybody's like,
consciously uncoupling.
Or laughing at it. But like all of that happens. Then there's the Als Ice Bucket Challenge. Do you remember that thing? Like every single person is throwing ice water on their heads. But to see, here's the sad thing, but it's pathetic. Like
it was early cryotherapy. Come on.
No, but it was meant to be for something good. It's like an ALS fundraiser at first, but then all these dumbasses kind of grab it and they start to just make it viral, but for all the wrong reasons, just dumping ice on their stupid bikini clad heads. You know what I mean? Like, just like, you know, like they're like, oh, we're so cool. So that's where you start getting all this noise. You know what I mean? Like this viral thing could have been such an opportunity, but we start to get the noise that we just cannot cut through because it's all noise. It's all noise. We got our Beats headphones on and we're like, in my ear, you know? Art kind of gets this actual value put on it. Like they're commodifying it. And it's kind of a year of a lot of art scandals. So like the whole Nazi art thing where they start to say, oh, there's all this art that was taken by the Nazis and, you know, let's put a number on it. And all of a sudden, like that was, you know, bad because there was Nazi art, but then people are taking advantage of it. But also,
they were taking credit for a lot of the art that was made by Austrians.
Right.
And so, yeah.
But also
really screwed up.
So. It's super screwed up, but then also you're putting a higher number on that art and saying you owe me X amount as restitution for this art. So as an art is like value, money. People are investing in art like never before. There are Ponzi schemes. You know, involving art. There are like scandals with investments and insurance and all this stuff. And I was like, that is so interesting. And then the shock art that I mentioned before, like the origin of the world live reenactment in the middle of, I can't even remember.
There were quite a few, and I can't unfortunately name all of them, but there were some interesting. I mean, wasn't there the one woman that would sit and you would go sit at her table and she would stare at you for
Abramovich, is that her name? Marina?
Yeah, so there were a lot of live art.
We'll give you her real name like on the screen, but like Marina.
Yeah, I mean, it's happy hour. We've had drinks.
Yeah, like,
you know, you're at happy hour. This happens.
Well, but she would have people, this was the other shock jock thing. She would have people literally abuse her. Like she would sit, but it's true. She'd sit in the gallery and be like, do anything to me. And that's where I'm like, how far are you needing to go to break through this noise?
Break through the noise. Right? Yeah, because everyone is trying to be heard because there's so much overstimulation and noise that they don't know how to be heard.
2014 was also a year where the money started kind of hurting art. So in Italy, so we're back to Italy with our Negroni, the Italian government, which at this point is starting to be seriously lacking money.
This is really important.
Right? So they're letting all of these really important cultural artifacts just disintegrate. Like, so Pompeii, the Colosseum, all these statues that people are literally defacing and breaking, and the Italian government has no money and cannot afford to, you know, keep protecting those things. So I'm like, oh my God, you know, what does this mean for the artist? Like the longevity of what you're creating is now in danger because first of all, you've been commodified to the hilt. Then, you know, people can't even protect you because there's this distraction. They're spending money on other things. So I thought that was really interesting.
No, it's horrible. It's super sad. Yeah. I mean, it's even, you know, and it was years ago that
like
it's really getting empty. But no, even when I was in Athens, I mean, it was quite a few years ago, you know, the Parthenon was disintegrating because of acid rain. Yes. And, you know, it's just, there's no, you know, it's like, what do we hold sacred anymore?
Yes.
And I mean that.
I mean, do we just get distracted? You know, do we forget what is, you know, the classics? And we shouldn't. I mean, that's really something that we shouldn't do, right? I mean, I don't think
we should forget about where we came from.
Exactly. And so, okay, now comes our kind of motivational bit.
But there was another thing that you said, though, and you talked about the French president the other night. And that, I know this is a little bit half full. Because it's very, but I feel like we need it.
Then we're going to talk about butt plugs.
I love this part because this part brought me back from the brink of like,
right? Okay, so this is true. When I was researching all of the shock value art that came out in 2014, and there was this guy, Paul Mccarthy, and at first when I read it, I thought it said Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
like,
and I actually have heard of this artist.
like,
I actually was like, oh yeah, I know this guy.
We're back to the Beatles, and I was like, oh, but Paul McCartney has a butt plug?
No,
I read,
he
no,
doesn't.
He doesn't. Don't sue us.
Don't even go
That's
there.
not him. No.
No, he would never.
Paul McCarthy. Paul McCarthy. Not McCarthy.
We might have him on the show. You never know. He might reach out.
He might. So Paul McCarthy did these sculptures that were kind of like a Santa Claus or a gnome or something like that, with this thing in his hand that's like Christmas tree, but not really. More like a butt plug. In fact, actually a butt plug. And he tried to exhibit them, and people were just, fighting him to
It was like worse than Maplethorpe. I grew up in Cincinnati, and Maplethorpe was banned from Cincinnati.
Right? So this guy, butt plugs are a little beyond.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is that people were having these mass protests. They were defacing his statues. And this was in Paris, and the French president, who I was never a fan of that one, not the current one, so I don't have to, but he literally said, and I quote, "France will always stand behind." I was like, behind? France will always stand behind its artists. And I thought that was an amazing, positive, thing. I was
Cheers.
like, cheers to that. There's
Cheers.
actually something positive. And the other thing is that the butt plug artist made chocolate Santa butt plugs, and the sale of butt plugs went up in France.
Hey, I personally don't have any interest in them, but
neither do I,
if you're into that kind of thing,
we don't judge.
all of a sudden they're popular and they make chocolate ones now.
Exactly. The more we drink, the less we judge too. So
it's
all
really good. It all gets really happy on happy hour.
It does. So now we get to talk about our little take home from all of this. Not a butt plug. Sorry, spoiler alert. How to cut through that noise when everything's going viral and people are getting distracted by all of these extremes. How do we as creatives who are trying to choose our next, chapter or our next act or our next work of art or our next inspiration or project, how do we cut through that noise? How do we access that thing that's going to make us kind of have that longevity like the
and
Negroni?
stay true to yourself.
Absolutely.
Creatively speaking.
Creatively
speaking.
Yeah. So, I thought, here's my little exercise. What do you think of this? If you're okay with it, then we'll assign it. I thought Negroni is 3 ingredients. What are your 3 ingredients that kind of define you and that are kind of classic you, right?
I love that. I
Is
love
that a good
that.
assignment?
Yeah.
Yay.
Wow, you get really creative when you drink.
I know. It's so great.
Wow, I love how you did that whole play on the drink thing.
I play on drinks all the time. That's what I do. So I'm thinking that okay, so let's think about this. The 3 ingredients. We got one that's kind of bad for you, right? The gin. Right?
It's
not awesome for you, but whatever, who cares? You got the gin. So let's come up with something that you have that's a little bit bad, a little bit,
a little bad,
tough, a little badass.
a little bad girl, a little bad boy.
Exactly. And then we've got something a little sweet. That's the vermouth.
Everybody has something a little bit
sweetness. So let's come up with that ingredient. And then we've got the kind of herbaceous,
medicinal, bitter,
or with a little fruit, right? We got that whole Campari type of, Aperolish, whatever the hell. Aperitivo flavor. So we can find that. And then if you want a bonus, if you're that whole kind of, extra credit type of person, what's your orange peel?
What do you throw in
at the last minute? Yes.
That makes it a little bit different than what other people are doing.
Exactly.
Which is what Negroni did do.
So you guys, that is our homework for this time. We loved chatting with you and getting trash with you. So join us next time. We're going to be talking about the Manhattan and the Cosmopolitan. So join us next time for Creative Happy Hour, where we get drunk on the creative possibilities.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Woo!